Another type of wave interaction that I like to talk about with my students is how sound can be used to give us a special superpower, but also can be used to trick us pretty easily. Now, as we grow up, we get really used to understanding how the signals to our ears are related to where the source of sound is coming from. So for example, if there was a sound coming from here, I could close my eyes and still know that it was coming from there because the sound isn't instantaneous. It actually hits this ear before it hits this ear. And my brain is able to interpret that slight delay and compute, basically triangulate where that sound might be coming from. And this is something that I like to do with my students. I have them all close their eyes. I walk to a random part of the room. I start talking and have them with their eyes closed point to where I'm standing. And they can all do it. It's a cool superpower, and they don't realize how cool of a superpower that actually is. They just assume that's something that they can always do, that's something that's pretty easy to do. Well, I show them with my Ear Switcher 3000 that this isn't a for sure thing. Now this is actually pretty rudimentary and not super high tech. It's basically hearing protection earmuffs that I took out the foam and then drilled a hole through that matched the same diameter as this vacuum tubing. And the only main feature here is it routes one ear that's on the right side of my body to the left side of my body, and then vice versa for the other. And when a student is wearing these, you don't know where the sound is coming from. If you close your eyes, in addition to kind of the echoey seashell feeling that you get, you actually lose sense of where that sound is, and your prediction is mirrored from where you think it might be. Welcome to my home workshop. We're going to turn a pair of safety earmuffs like these ones into the next generation of Ear Switcher 3000. I'm going to start out with this Pro Case safety earmuffs. They're just some cheap earmuffs that I found on Amazon. The safety aspect is they have a hard case and then this foam on the inside. And you can see that these are adjustable so they can fit a variety of different sizes of head. The first thing we need to do is rip out the foam from the inside. It's really easy to do. It just kind of sits in there. So we'll take out that ear and take out this ear as well. And then now all that's left for us to do is to drill a hole in the side so that we can loop the hose in to then pass that ear to the other side. To drill a hole in the side of the earmuffs, I'm going to use a hole saw fitting that matches the hose that I'm looking to fit in there. So I've got a bunch of different sizes here. This looks like it's going to fit the side, and more importantly, it fits perfectly over the tubing that I'm hoping to use to switch the ears. Alright, I've got this lined up. I drilled in my pilot hole already, and I've got it clamped so it shouldn't move as I drill the hole. There you go, just like that. I have a hole right in the center of those safety earmuffs. Now that I've pre-cut my holes, I'm going to take my tubing, make sure that it fits. It should fit just fine. It's maybe a little bit larger than I needed, but I'll be able to fill that in no problem. And then in this tubing, I've already cut a piece and taken it home. So I'm going to find where roughly the center of this piece is, and then just use a box cutter to slice it into two parts. So I've got two pieces here that are roughly a foot and a half in length. Alright, I've got some putty now. I'm just going to roll it into a snake and then basically place that bead all the way around, make sure that it's going to fit, and then use that to hold the tubing. Alright, so that putty will help provide a pretty good seal. If you wanted something a little bit more permanent, you could probably find like a moldable plastic or more of an epoxy sort of putty. Here I'm just using kind of sticky tack, and then I'll fix it more with duct tape on the top. So now to finish that off, I'm going to add a little bit of black duct tape. Alright, that seems pretty secure. The last thing that's needed is to swap the ears. and then hold them together using a piece of duct tape. And now you have an ear switcher. So, now that I have my new ear switcher, I want to compare it to what I had done before and talk about some of the things that I wish I would have done a little bit differently, and maybe some of the things that I prefer about my original design. So, the first thing is I noticed after I had drilled the holes that the holes that I drilled were maybe a little bit larger than I wanted to. That required me to add a lot more putty than I was initially planning, and made it a little bit harder to hold the tubes in place. Now, once I got enough duct tape on there, those tubes aren't going anywhere. You can see on the inside that it's holding just fine, that it's there, it's well sealed. I'm also finding that these are a little bit more echoey. I think part of the reason is the sharper bend that's required to make the switch. So if I were to do this again a third time, or even modify this one once I get back to school, I'll get a little bit more tubing. I think 1.5 feet wasn't quite long enough, whereas this one provided a little bit gentler of a bend. And I think part of that too is just the headphones that I found. So the earmuffs here required a little bit different angle coming out of them, and I think that's a hard one to know when you're ordering it online on Amazon, finding the cheapest ones that you can, because you don't actually need it for hearing protection. But I think part of that resulted in a slightly different feel. But overall, if I put these on, it does the same thing. It's a little bit echoey. I think I might try to shield that echo a little bit by adding some felt on the outside. It'll change the look a little bit, but overall, it will still have the same effect where I sound over here. Feels like it's coming into this ear first. So if my eyes were closed, I wouldn't be able to locate using the speed of sound.